Today you will be taking the Adaptations test. Make sure to put your name at the top, take your time, use your strategies, and circle the best answer choice for each question. And as always, good luck. Number 1. What do we call something that helps the animal survive in its habitat? A. A tool. B. An adaptation. C. Mimicry. Or D. Instinct. Number 2. How would a cactus' spines help it survive in its habitat? A. It protects it from organisms looking for food. B. It allows it to blend into its habitat. C. It helps it to catch prey. Or D. It helps it to find water. Number 3. What does natural selection mean? A. Over time, traits that are not important to an organism's survival are kept while others are discarded. B. Over time, the traits stay the same without any change. C. Over time, traits that are important to the organism's survival are passed from children to their parents. Or D. Over time, traits that are important to the organism's survival are passed down from parents to their children. Number 4. How might floating seeds help a plant to survive in its habitat? A. It helps the plant by spreading the seeds around. B. It helps the plant absorb lots of sunlight. C. It helps attract birds and insects to pollinate it. Or D. It helps the plant collect water. Number 5. How might sharp claws and sharp teeth help an animal survive in its habitat? A. They could be used to catch and eat insects. B. They could be used to dig up and eat plants. C. They could be used to catch and eat prey. D. They could be used to dig burrows and swim. Number 6. What is a physical adaptation? A. Something the organism does that helps the organism to survive. B. Something the organism is born knowing how to do that helps the organism to survive. C. An instinct that helps the organism to survive. D. Something on the body that helps the organism to survive. Seven. What is a behavioral adaptation? A. Something the organism does that helps it survive. B. Something on the body that helps it to survive. C. A structural part of the organism that helps it survive. Or D. Something the organism learns that helps it survive. Number 8. Which of these is a behavioral adaptation? A. Sharp claws. B. A short wedged-shaped beak. C. Hibernation. Or D. Hunting. Number 9. What is the beak shown below used for? A. Spearing fish. B. Drilling holes. C. Catching insects. Or D. Cracking seeds. Number 10. How do the feet shown below help this bird move? A. Walking. B. Swimming. C. perching, or D. climbing? Number 11. What is it called when an organism copies another organism's look? A. blending in, B. camouflage, C. hiding, or D. mimicry? Number 12. What is camouflage? A. looking like another organism, B. tricking predators, C. blending into the background, or D. looking like a larger organism? Number 13. What are the feet shown below adapted for? A. perching, B. climbing, C. catching prey, D. walking? Number 14. What is the beak shown below adapted for? A. cracking seeds, B. drilling holes, C. collecting nectar, or D. catching insects? Number 15. Which choice below is an instinct? A. hunting, B. crying, C. riding a bike, or D. reading? Number 16. How do the feet shown below help the bird move? A. perching, B. swimming, C. climbing, D. walking? Number 17. Which choice below is a learned behavior? A. crying, B. hibernation, C. flying, or D. migration? Number 18. Which of the feet below is used for walking? A. B. C. or D? Number 19. Which of the following beaks is adapted to get at nectar inside flowers? A. B. C. or D? Number 20. What adaptation would be the most useful to an organism living in a very cold environment? A. camouflage, B. sharp claws, C. an excellent sense of smell, or D. blubber? 21. What adaptation would be most useful to an organism that lives underwater? A. gills, B. a thick coat of fur, C. feathers, or D. large sharp claws and teeth? 22. What adaptation helps birds fly? A. hooked-shaped beak, B. long, thin beak, C. feathers, D. webbed feet? 23. How are large leaves an adaptation? A. they soak up more water, B. they absorb more sunlight, C. they attract insects and birds, or D. they warn organisms of poison? 24. How can bright colors on an animal be an adaptation? A. It could warn other organisms that it is poisonous. B. It helps it find food. C. It helps it blend in to its surroundings. D. It helps it find water. 25. Which of the choices below is a behavioral adaptation? A. Fight or flight. B. Hunting. C. Sharp claws. D. Flying. You have now finished the adaptations test. Please go back through and make sure all of your answers are circled and that your work is there. Double check to make sure your answers are correct and that you are ready to turn it in. Then raise your hand and wait for me to come over to collect your test.